I'm back and I'm still fucking cool. Today, we're talking about Victoria Paris. Vicky P. Victoria in Paris. And I do not mean the porn star Victoria Paris, who very recently passed away, may she rest in peace. I mean the TikTok influencer, the fashion designer, the jewelry designer, the interior designer. That Victoria Paris. Welcome back to Why It Works. This is the series where I take the influencers who seemingly blow up overnight and you're like, okay, hello? And I go back to the very beginning of the career and I dissect it with my magnifying glass. And I see what the fuck was going on. And I hope to explain to you why they've managed to stay relevant, successful, and build a career that has longevity. This one's to you, Vicky P. Okay. How'd she get started? Well, Victoria Paris actually started posting videos to promote her Depop shop. Once a fashion icon, always a fashion icon. That's why I wore my best shirt for you today. In the very beginning, when Victoria Paris first started burning, she did an interview, fittingly, with Interview magazine. And she said, why don't I try to plug my Depop via TikTok and make all these thirst traps flexing my fashion and shit, and then push all the traffic that way. And then I started making videos and they were just an instantaneous hit. And she wasn't fucking kidding, girl. In 6 months, she had 1 million followers. In 6 months, she had 1 million followers. It took me a year to hit 100,000. It's taken me 4 years to hit 400,000. That's crazy. That's scary. Remember when I said Charli D'Amelio said it was very scary for her to blow up in the way that she did, which is never gonna happen to anybody again? I can imagine Victoria probably feeling scared to some degree because of it happening that fast, but also how exciting. So that's what she was doing. She was posting these videos showing off the clothes that she was trying to sell, hoping to make a quick low buck on the side. Boy, howdy did that work. And why did it work in the very beginning? Strike Magazine put it really, really nicely. What sets her apart from other influencers is the level of honesty, openness, and transparency that she provides on her platform, which has become one big group chat or private story. Her energy is magnetic and her content is real. The very beginning of Victoria Paris's career was in 2020. It was the middle of the pandemic and she was in the middle of New York City. So suddenly we got a taste of what it was like for like your everyday girl next door to be living in this crazy time and feel a little bit normal. It felt raw and it felt unfiltered, but it wasn't scary because everything on the fucking news in the beginning of the pandemic was so scary and it was all about New York.
Queens in New York is the worst infected district in what is now the world's worst infected city, and the doctors and nurses don't know what's hit them.
Hell. Biblical. I kid you not.
New York, a city no stranger to disaster, could be on the cusp of something it has never experienced before.
It was too much. So when people first began to find Victoria Paris, they found someone authentically living in New York, unafraid, unabashedly doing whatever she was gonna do and just trying to figure it out, just like the rest of everybody else was doing at that time. And I think she used this to her advantage, not the global pandemic, but the fact that New York City was at the forefront of all types of media. She saw the buzz New York was getting and decided to underscore all of her videos with that. I'm your girl next door. I'm trying to make it work. I have all these clothes. I have all these style choices. I have all these perspectives and ideas on what fits my lifestyle and what I'm doing, and I'm in New York. Another big thing is that she really heavily interacted with her comments, especially in the very beginning. Hate comments, praise, questions, anything that was anything to do in her comments, she was there and she was responding to it. And not just once. She would have full-blown conversations with people, including haters, in her comments. This really helped her build a community that felt that she was directly engaged with them, was super involved with what they were doing, what they were saying, what they were asking, and B, this really drove her engagement through the fucking roof. Because what did people have all day to do? Sit on TikTok. She was posting like 900 million times a day, so she was getting comment after comment after comment after comment after comment. It was a perfect storm for her to build a community that also was building her. Strike Magazine also said, she has the words, "I'm just doing me and you're welcome to come along for the ride," written all over her. And that's exactly what I think has carried Victoria Paris into this next chapter of her career. She's not the everyday girl next door anymore. She's not someone just trying to figure it out. We're not living in the end of times anymore. We're not all in this sense of uncertainty and we don't know what the future's gonna hold. Victoria Paris has cemented herself with her career, she's cemented herself with her community, and she's cemented herself in the space that she's known for, fashion, design, and pop culture. So that's how Victoria Paris Paris got started. She wanted to promote her Depop shop. People tuned in to see the clothes first because she had some really cool things and some really exciting pieces that not everybody was wearing at the time. Remember, 2020, there was no like TikTok culture, there was no Gen Z fashion that was so cohesive at the time. So Victoria Paris really helped trailblaze a huge group of people's style choices in the very beginning of the pandemic, where they weren't afraid to try things out. No one was going anywhere, so sure, I'll put an outfit on that I saw Victoria Paris wear. No one has to see me if it doesn't look good, but if it looks good, guess what people are gonna do? Victoria Paris inspired. Victoria Paris outfit. Victoria Paris outfit details. People started to engage with her in a way that went far beyond what she was wearing, and they wanted to see what she was doing, why she was doing it. And with her understanding of, oh, this is happening, and it's going beyond just what I wanted to try and do, she gripped it with both hands, right tight by the reins, and she's been holding on for dear life. Good job, Victoria. You're doing amazing, sweetie. So it's 2024 now. How has Victoria Paris managed to maintain her level of success and maintain to continue to grow, not just her accounts, but her brands? Is she the most followed person on TikTok? No, not by any means. In fact, if you look at the bigger accounts on TikTok, she's still relatively small, which means she still has a lot of room to grow. And I think she's very well aware of that too. I don't think she's stupid, and I don't think she just happened to fall into this line of work accidentally. I think there are people who are thrown into it, but there are people, myself included, with a little voice in the back of their head that says, this is going to work. You're going to figure out how the fuck to do it, and you better hold the fuck on. And I can see that there's a really big fire lit under her ass. Because look at Victoria Paris now. She's visibly wealthy. She's visibly successful. She's found fame on a global level. She has access to spaces and things that not everyday people have. And she's, as Monet Exchange would say, is a former member of Gen Pop.
Back when I was a civilian in Gen Pop, I would, when I had jury duty back in the day.
Pop, is that what you call not famous?
Yeah. The general population.
Yet somehow she has maintained a little bit of that feeling of the everyday girl next door. I'm just doing me. Come along for the ride. A few years ago, Victoria Paris did an interview with Business Insider, and she said something that really stood out to me, and I think it was because it almost broke the fourth wall of the doe-eyed, oh my god, this is amazing, like I can't believe this is happening, but I'm just, hanging on and enjoying the success, and again, come along for the ride. This is what she said. There's a fine line of being transparent and seeming unrelatable. There's a few things about that. One, this is a cover story with Business Insider. So she scheduled the interview. They're wanting to hear her perspectives and her insights on her career. So we're already a step beyond what's just the girl next door. But also, it shows that she has a very clear understanding at this point that something has changed in her life. There isn't a relatability factor in every single aspect anymore because she can have pretty much whatever she wants. She can do pretty much whatever she wants, and her job is to show all of it. And I feel that must have been such an interesting position to be in. And let me just say, I don't know how Victoria Paris grew up, so I don't know where she's coming from, but where she started for us is just this girl, again, I'm going to keep going back to the words, trying to figure it out. And it's clear here, she's figured something out. She's figured out how to make it work. So now what she's trying to figure out is how to sell it in a way that feels maybe not relatable, but attainable. So how does she do it? She's kept her really specific Victoria Paris, eclectic, niche, funky vibe across all of the things that she shows. Her decor, her jewelry, her clothes. But what she's done since she's become successful and she's gained access to spaces and things that not everybody has is she's leveled it up. So now she's showing us something that the Kardashians did very early in their career when they began to, build their marble palaces. Victoria Paris is now towing the line very, very well of, I'm not bragging, this is my life, these are the things I have. Aren't these cool things? Look at all the nice things I have. Us as an audience, we're eating it up. We love it. We love to see what she has. We love to see what she's going to get. We love to see what she's going to do with the things she has and gets. And it's just a never-ending cycle of this complete reinvention and this reimagination of who Victoria Paris is, what Victoria Paris does, and why we watch Victoria Paris. Because it changes all the time. We first started watching because we wanted to see the fucking clothes that she was trying to sell us. And now we're fucking watching because we're trying to see the designer couch she just bought. We're trying to see the new space she moves into. We're trying to see the new car she gets. Because it's not yet completely unattainable. These are still things that most people will be able to do. Get their own apartment, find their own style, make their own space, complete their own journey into self-discovery in a way that feels authentic to themselves while taking bits and pieces from people like Victoria Paris. She's made her influence into something, like I said, Taylor Swift has done with fame. It's still consumable. It's still palatable. And one of the biggest ways that she's managed to do that is through the collaborations that she does. It's things that are, again, attainable for most people. And if it's still totally out of your budget, you're not going to sit there and be like, Jesus Christ, like $900 for a t-shirt that says VP on it? She did a collaboration with a jewelry designer called Fragile, I think. I don't think it's Fragile. Maybe it is. Fragile. She did a jewelry collaboration and it was a huge fucking success. Sold out online immediately. Pop-ups in stores sold out immediately. Cannot keep up with the demand. And it's because they're quality pieces that they know Victoria Paris herself has worn and really enjoys. So there's that influence right there because, oh my God, well, she likes it. I know she likes good stuff. So I might as well invest my money into her stuff because why would she give us shit stuff? We've never seen her buy shit stuff. And also they feel like they're splurging on themselves and they're buying something that's not fucking garbage. It's a handmade piece of jewelry by someone that they trust. It's exactly what I was just saying. The collaborations that she does where they deliver a product rather than just an endorsement deal with like Nike, Gatorade, whatever it may be, have remained accessible. Not to all, but to most. And business-wise, that's what you should be doing. Do I believe in that? No, I'm not a capitalist in the fucking slightest. But if every single person can afford every single thing, there's no way to scale what you're doing. For what Victoria Paris is doing, it's working, and it's because she's doing it in a really smart way. This is where I think Emma Chamberlain kind of veered off and became a full mainstream celebrity, because the things that Emma Chamberlain started to get invited to, the access that she gained, it was just not attainable for anybody. And she totally leaned in and she found huge success, and that fully rounded her brand into something that was completely different to where it could have gone. And I think that's why Victoria Paris still has that edge of like the homegrown girl next door, because we don't see her on the fucking Tonight Show, at the fucking Met Gala, making billions of dollars with her fucking coffee company. So even when she does do crazy big things like interviews with major publications, she goes on maybe a late night TV show here and there, or she does a major podcast somewhere, it still feels relatable. It still feels relatively small, because in the grand scheme of things, under 2 million followers isn't that big of a following, so we can still feel like, oh, our Victoria, like our little Victoria Paris did it, which is really, 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 really significant for her whole brand, because it all started with this vibe of, well, if you know, you know, and if you can make it work, you can make it work, and I am the everyday it girl. I am who you want to be, so like, follow along, come join the ride. Let's make it work. And is she making this relatability factor work through all of these major brand deals and through the expensive things that she gets gifted and the absolute consumerism of it all that is Victoria Paris? No, look at the way that she weaves in these little nuggets of, oh, I'm speaking that language too right now, when she's doing bigger things, like this interview with Apartment Therapy. Paris frequently brought up her love for secondhand shopping, especially Facebook Marketplace. When we see someone like Emma Chamberlain bring up things like thrift shopping, Facebook Marketplace, getting something secondhand, it feels tacky because it feels unnecessary. When we see someone like Victoria Paris bring up secondhand shopping, doing things vintage, finding things pre-loved, pre-worn, it feels a little bit easier to hold, because for where she's still currently at in her brand and in her career, it seems resourceful, it seems ethical, it seems still pretty morally grounded, and it makes sense. It makes sense that someone who's built her entire brand off of finding the coolest pieces no matter what and making it work would go somewhere like a thrift store, would go somewhere like Facebook Marketplace, would find things on Craigslist, would find things on the side of the road, because that's exactly what it was. It was Victoria Paris fully buckling herself in and trying to find the absolute best way to live her best life. So no, people still haven't yet been like, why are you thrift shopping? You can buy whatever you want. Because Victoria Paris's brand has never been opulence. Her brand has never been flashy, showy. It's always been personal, curated style that's tailored to a T to what you're trying to live your life as, what you're trying to feel, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to exude. So if that's wealth, if that's opulence, if that's gold trimmings and Mar-a-Lago, sure. But for Victoria Paris, it could be a cool chunky couch that's rust orange and a chandelier that's made out of fucking Crayolas. So what do I think Victoria Paris is going to do next? I believe she would be a fool to let go of this everyday girl next door thing, because in the early 2000s, that meant something really different. In the early 2000s, it meant a skinny, white, blonde woman who was rich, had successful parents who were still together, and was able to make her way against all the odds that she was facing in her life, okay? People like Paris Hilton were billed as the girl next door. Kirsten Dunst billed as the girl next door. So now that we have someone like Victoria Paris being billed as the girl next door, I think it'll be a little bit easier to maintain and curate what exactly that means. So I think first we'll start to see like major modeling gigs, cover shoots, some mid-magazine spreads, not quite at the Emma Chamberlain level, but more homey. It's in her spaces, it's in her pop-ups, it's in the studio where she's doing a collab with the next designer that she chooses to do. It's following Victoria Paris in her life rather than showing the world Victoria Paris's life as something to consume. So with the idea of don't consume me, but watch and follow along with me, we'll probably see a lot of collaborations with apartments.com, Architectural Digest. We're absolutely gonna get an AD house tour at some point. And you know that's gonna be one of the most viewed fucking AD house tours in the world because she's gonna fucking serve cunt the entire time she's walking those goddamn cameras through that place. And we'll probably see more brands where it's still major corporations, but it's still that homey, I can do this, look at what I'm doing, isn't this a cool thing for you to try to do too? And I think she's gonna make major waves in the spaces of interior design, architecture, fashion. I think in the next few years, we're gonna get a lot more fashion lines or fashion collaborations from Victoria Paris. And hear me out, mark my words, I think we're gonna get a shoe collection. I think she's gonna do something really cool, something not high fashion, but again, super attainable. Maybe she'll do a really cool collaboration with Converse or Reebok or New Balance or one of those brands that's still seen as like shoes that cost $100 because we're normal people. And Victoria Paris isn't a normal people, but she was one of us. She's a former member of Gen Pop. And I feel that to be one of the main reasons that she has a career that has such longevity ahead of her. She's got so many avenues that she can dip her little fucking fingers into. She's a really smart businesswoman and she knows how to still keep herself relatable and as accessible as possible while growing and expanding her business and her brand into the fucking stratosphere. Victoria Paris, if you see this, can you cover my rent for like 2 months or something? I don't need a lot of money. I do need a lot of money, but like I'll take the rent. You can afford it. You may, yeah. And who knows, maybe I'll be the next Victoria Paris. Maybe someone out there in a few years will be making this type of video about me. How did I get started? Unfortunately, I'm not the only living girl, but I am the only living Cody Jacob. And if you liked this video, make sure to fucking like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. Are you a fan of Victoria Paris? When did you start following Victoria Paris when you found her? I first became aware of her when she was just about to leave New York City and go to LA. I think it's really cool what she's done with her career. Would you like to see more lifestyle content from me a la Victoria Paris? I'd be happy to give you guys a peek into my everyday life. What does a TikTok superstar do? And if you want to watch any of my other content anywhere else, everywhere else, I'm Cody Jacob.